Hello YouTube, I'm Zach, you're watching ZakDTV, the place for interesting news from around the net. In today's episode, we're going to talk about artificial photosynthesis. We have a story about a new stamp from the United States Post Office, and I'm going to wrap up with the newest word in the Merriam Webster dictionary and the way it roasts a common segment of our society. Remember, if you want interesting news 5 days a week, that's Monday through Friday, go ahead and click the button over here. Maybe that subscribe button down here. Well, enough of that. Let's get right into this. Researchers from the University of Central Florida have come up with a way to turn CO2 into usable energy with the sun. This is completely artificial photosynthesis. The team, they're led by Dr. Fernando Uribe Romo. They developed this process using titanium and nitrogen alkyl 2 aminoterephthalate molecules and arranging them into a metallic organic framework, or a MOF for short. I've talked about these MOFs before. In fact, the MIT team that was able to pull water from the air, they use these metallic organic frameworks in order to make that process happen. Well, now they've changed the structure and they're able to pull CO2 from the air. And by further adjusting this MOF, the team is able to make it react to different spectrums of light. The easiest way to get this to work is with UV light, but only 4% of the light that hits the Earth's surface is UV. So they went for a better spectrum. They went with a blue light, kind of like what you see in a tanning bed maybe. And this upped the efficiency of this project a lot. They are working to get into other spectrums. They'd like to see this get into the red-yellow spectrum, which is most of the light that actually makes it through our atmosphere and to the surface. And so far, everything is pretty promising. In their tests, they pumped a measurable amount of CO2 into a chamber with this setup in it, and they noticed a significant decrease in the amount of CO2 that was measured in it. This also produces two kinds of carbon, formates and formamides, both of which can be used to make power. Of course, the long-term goal for this is to scale it up on a size that can be used maybe on solar panels for your roof, or even a large plant set next to a cogen plant, so that way it can pool in the CO2 coming out of the stacks and pump back in burnable fuel. Either way, it sounds like they have come up with an effective way to scrub CO2 from the atmosphere. I'm sure our Earth will be happy about that. My next story I'm going to talk about, just because I'm a nerd, the U.S. Post Office has put out a new stamp. Well, actually, it's coming out later in July. And it's going to commemorate the full eclipse that we're going to be seeing here. On August 21st, there's supposed to be a solar eclipse that travels from Salem, Oregon, across the United States, all the way to Charlotte, South Carolina. Now, of course, outside the path, you're only going to see a partial eclipse, but they're still pretty cool. Don't look directly at them. It could burn your eyes. But the reason I bring this stamp up is because they printed it using a thermochromatic ink. I don't know if you remember those Hot Wheels that change colors when you got them hot or cold. Well, that's what this stamp does. So it'll go from being the sun, you hold your thumb over it, pull it back, and it's the sun in an eclipse. I know nobody really uses the post office anymore, but these stamps are kind of cool. And next, let's talk about Merriam Webster dictionary. This is the best known dictionary out there, and they have added a new word. The new word is sheeple. Merriam Webster defines it as a plural noun. People who are docile, compliant, or easily influenced. People likened to sheep. For some examples of its use, they give James Nichols, who ran the family farm here, stamped dollar bills with red ink in protest against currency, and told his neighbors that they were sheeple for obeying authority like livestock. Another example they give is Apple debuted a battery case for the juice-sucking iPhone. An ungainly, lumpy case the sheeple will happily shell out $99 for. Yes, that screen capture is directly from the Merriam-Webster site. This is not an Onion article or something. That is the way they use sheeple in a sentence. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Remember, if you like what I do, your friends will too. So go ahead, share me on Facebook, Twitter. If you still have MySpace, why not? Put me over there too. I do this thing Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. It's Friday, so I won't see you guys tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. Have a safe weekend.